We're going to do a little comparison using z-scores here, and we're talking about men's and women's heights. It's not really fair to say, well, who's taller, this man or this woman, because in relative to their own gender, it's different. So you can see that the average height of a woman is 65 inches, and the average height of a man is 70 inches. So if a woman is 65 inches tall and a man is 70 inches tall, technically they're both average for their particular gender. So they also have different standard deviations, 5 for men and 3.5 for women. So we are going to do some comparisons using those values. So what percentage of men are less than 5 feet tall? Well, remember, 5 feet is 60 inches. So if we're doing a man, we've got to find a z-score first. Value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So that gives me a z-score of -2. Well, if I'm thinking about that, that's right here. And if I want to talk to less than that, well, that's area to the left. I look at my z-score table, right? We're looking for the z-score and the probability. If I look and find -2, area to the left is 0.0228. So that means 2.28% of men are less than 5 feet tall. Okay, well, now let's answer the same question for women. What percentage of women are less than 5 feet tall? So now we're talking value minus the mean. Remember, women's mean is 65, and their standard deviation is 3.5. So that gives me a z-score of -1.4. So here's -1.4. Again, I'm looking to the left. So now in my z-score problem, I'm looking for a -1.4, which gives me 0.0808, or 8.08% of women are shorter than 5 feet tall. So very different when you're comparing to your own gender. A fathom, which is an Old English measurement based on a man's outstretched arms, is 6 feet. Well, remember that 6 feet is 72 inches. So what percentage of men are more than 72 inches? Okay, so we're doing it. So we need to first z-score. Value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. Again, remember the standard deviation and mean for man. So that gives me 0.4. Okay, so we're talking more than. That's area to the right. Well, if I put 0.4, look it up on my table, I get 0.6554. So the area on the right is 1 minus 0.6554, which gives me an answer of 0.3446 as a percentage, 34.46%. Okay, let's answer that same question for women. 72, now remember my average is 65 and my standard deviation is 3.5, which gives me a z-score of 2. So once again, I'm looking for area to the right. If I look at my z-score table, I get 0.9772 as area to the left. So the area on the right is everything else, so we take that away from 1, and I get 0.0228. So 2.28% of women are taller than 6 feet tall, which seems about right. I don't know too many women that are taller than 6 feet. Who is taller relative to their own gender? A 5'7" tall woman or a 6 foot tall man? Okay, so if we're looking for who is taller, we're looking for the bigger z-score, because the bigger z-score will tell you they're higher than the average. That's what we're looking for. Okay, 5'7" inches. Well, 5 feet is 60 inches plus 7. This is a 67-inch woman, and we know that 6 feet is 72 inches. So this is what we're doing. Okay, so let's do the woman first. We need a z-score. 67 minus 65 divided by 3.5. That rounds to roughly 0.57. Then if we do the man, z-score, value minus the mean over the standard deviation. Make sure you're using the correct mean and standard deviation for the right gender. And we end up with 0.4. So since the woman has the higher standard deviation, she is more standard deviations above the mean, which means she is taller relative to her own gender. Who is shorter? Okay, so now we're looking for the smaller z-score. A 5 foot tall woman or a 5'6" man? Well, 5 feet is 60 inches, which makes 5'6", 66 inches. All right, let's start with the woman. Z-score, value minus the mean over the standard deviation. That rounds to be roughly -1.4. Then we look at the man. Value minus the mean over the standard deviation, and we get -0.8. Which one of those is a smaller number? Well, negative 1.4. If you think number line, here's 0, here's negative 0.8, here's negative 1.4. So negative 1.4 is the smaller number. So since the negative 1.4 is the lower of the two, she is shorter when comparing to the your own gender. Now, how do you stack up? And I don't know how tall you are, but I can tell you that I am 5'4". Unless you look at my driver's license, that I'm 5'5". Shh, don't tell anybody. So 5'4" makes me roughly 64 inches. So my z-score, value minus the mean over the standard deviation, because I am a woman, my z-score is negative 0.3. So if we look at that, here's negative 0.3. Area to the left is roughly 0.3821. As a percent, that's roughly the 38th percentile. That means I am taller than 38% of women, or roughly 62% of women are taller than me, which seems about right. I'm a shorty.